What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Brew with Matt and Mike. And before we get started, Mike, how are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm lovely, feeling good. Had my coffee, got my mat Pilates in this morning, ready to go have a scrimmage today. How you doing, Matt? Is it sunny in Wisconsin today?
Yesterday, it was absolutely beautiful. Weather that even you would have liked up here, but now we are regressing back to the norm, and it is going to be cloudy and chilly for the foreseeable future with some snow mixed in, I believe, in the very near future. But something that's not cold is this Wisconsin Badgers team, and their offense has improved tremendously since 2025 going into 2026, ever since that UCLA game early in January. And guys are stepping up, making shots, playing better. But Mike, with your high-level basketball IQ, can you get more granular in what you're seeing before we dive into the Big Ten tournament? Can you get granular in what you're seeing different with Wisconsin now versus what they were doing November and December? Not just players making shots, but what is Wisconsin doing philosophy-wise that's a little bit different? I heard Painter get really granular on this, talking about how much Wisconsin is doing different things now versus early in the season. What are you seeing, Mike, that's different?
So one thing that they've done really well is what they're running is a continuity offense. So it's a lot of side ball screens. It's not necessarily, a set play or a determined set. There is always a next option. Coach Gard has been doing this for a little bit for a little while now, for almost 2 or 3 years, maybe even a little bit earlier. A lot more ball screens and just a lot more next options. So when you get into continuity offenses, there's always if the defense solves the problem, then you just go to the next one and make them solve another one and make them solve another one. And right now, early in the year, it really felt like Wisconsin, they would get paint touches with Boyd and Blackwell, and it felt like it was a little bit more off of isolation stuff, or they would find it every once in a while because they were spamming a lot of the same action. It was They didn't figure out these split cuts. What I mean by split cuts is where two guards are having a off ball action out of the wing in the corner. So you'll see a lot of times where Blackwell was setting a down screen for Boyd and Boyd was coming up off of a handoff. And that was really one of the only actions that they were getting to, especially earlier in the year. That's why their offense felt a little bogged down. That's why we were getting much more side to side, more even level pass threes instead of inside out threes. And now they've started to figure out the spacing concepts that they haven't played together that much, and understanding these higher level spacing concepts of, hey, you have to stay in the corner, you have to stay on the wing, wait for me to set a screen, let somebody else make a read. You can do flare screens, you can do ball screens on the actual ball. They're understanding the reads, they're understanding the spacing, they're understanding how to attack different defenses just because they've found the fluidity and the continuity. And then, last game, they're starting to play with it now. That's the thing, is once you start to understand these certain types of actions, you can make really small adjustments. Instead of, hey, setting a down screen, it's a back screen. And that small flip, especially if you've ran the same action for a couple of different possessions, really messes with the defense's head. It's kind of like having a pitcher that has 3 pitches instead of 2. They have 2 really, really good pitches, and then that third pitch you find out like, oh man, it throws everybody off, especially when you start to see, especially in baseball, is when you start to see batters over and over again. When pitchers see batters multiple times, they understand what they're seeing. And it's the same thing on offense and basketball. Once you run an action a few different times, guys figure out how to guard it. So they're doing a great job of playing and making small in-game adjustments on their sets, and it's beautiful.
100%. And yeah, Gard, I've always appreciated that about him, is he will go to a few actions multiple times in a row, and then he will change something up and get a wide open basket out of it. And yeah, Gard's a high level guy, and he was doing that against Matt Painter, who's another high level guy. I think that's two of the best
Man.
X and O's wizards in all of college basketball. But moving into the Big Ten tournament a little bit, is there's a lot of debate about how much the Big Ten tournament matters, or just tournaments in general, but especially the Big Ten tournament because it's played so late. The championship game gets done right before Selection Sunday. So
Yep.
Wisconsin made it all the way to the championship last year, and it didn't really seem like it impacted their seed. They didn't get to go play in Milwaukee as a 3. They got sent out to Denver. And I also remember years ago when you were a senior in 2013, you guys beat Michigan, you beat Indiana, and you came into that Big Ten tournament ranked in 2013. You guys
Yep.
had a great season before. They had a lot of big wins, and then you guys go into the Big Ten tournament, beat the two most talented teams in the country, arguably, and then you
Yep.
guys lose to Ohio State in the championship. But that didn't really do anything for your seeding. You guys were stuck with a 5 seed. You guys didn't level up to a 4 or a 3. So, Mike, my question for you is to start: do you want to see Wisconsin win in this Big Ten tournament?
For me, it's more about just finding fluidity and rhythm as best you can, and feeling confident, and also just getting out of the Big Ten tournament healthy. You know, going through this, the Big Ten tournament is interesting, right? It's the precursor to the main event. It's like the little appetizer. So you still get the pressure, you still get the feelings. It's the most similar feeling you're going to have to an NCAA tournament. So you really want to try and play well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unfortunately for me, we only made it out of the first game twice. My senior year, and I think it was my junior year. We knocked off a team, but we always got knocked out a little bit early. And I know for me competitively, obviously I want to win those games, but as a player who is now graduated and watching it, it was a great time. It was really fun. You're very competitive. Those things matter. Those are really, really fun runs to have. But I would love to see this team just come out healthy, win a
Yep.
game or two, come out healthy, take care of stuff. Because I think, to be honest with you, my sophomore year, we had the worst 2-game stretch ever. We got smacked by Ohio State, and then we had the worst rock fight I've ever been a part of in my basketball career against Penn State. It's like 33-36. It was horrible. And everybody was mad at us, and we ended up playing really well in the NCAA tournament. So for me, I think it's just trying to find rhythm, trying to find flow, but most importantly, staying healthy.
Yeah.
But my question for you, Matt, is as a fan too, do you feel like maybe these conference tournaments should not be around anymore, or because you've been to them as well, right? You've been to the Big Ten tournament a couple of times, so you kind of understand it too from that perspective.
Yeah, I've been to the Big Ten tournament twice in my life. One in 2016. I believe, where did we go? I think I was in Indy, and Wisconsin lost in the
Great
first round
place.
to Nebraska, and it was an ugly, ugly game. Nigel was like 3 of 20. Bronson wasn't much better. It was a rough game, and then they ended up making the Sweet 16, almost the Elite Eight, which is funny because they played horrible. It was one of those ugly rock fights, probably scored in the 40s or low 50s. And then last year I was there, took a little boys trip with my old man and my best friend, and we watched the Wisconsin Michigan State game. Was just unbelievably fun. It was super
Nice.
competitive, and I I think they definitely should be around. They're a lot of fun, and I imagine they bring in some good money. But the problem is, I don't like the little consequences they have on your seeding in the NCAA tournament. It seems like by that Sunday when that tournament wraps up, or even the Saturday or the Friday, the NCAA tournament has their bracket pretty much filled out. The committee has their tournament pretty much filled out, and then the only thing they'll change is if someone gets an automatic bid. That's
Yep.
really the only changes I see, and that I speculate that happens because once again, that team last year they got a 3 seed, which was great, but the fact they didn't get Milwaukee after beating Michigan State, after destroying UCLA, and the fact that you guys way back when you played in 2013, you guys didn't get any better than a 5 seed after what you guys did. I just don't think it has much impact on seeding. It's fun, it's competitive. Once we get to the games, I'm definitely going to want Wisconsin to win. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like if they lose, let's say they beat Washington or USC and then lose to Illinois, like I don't like Brad Underwood. I want to see Gard beat Underwood because Underwood was owning Gard for a long time. I believe it was from
Yes.
2019 until like 2025. Gard didn't get a win. Gard finally got that win in 2025. But yeah, if they beat Wisconsin that game, that's not the end of the world. Let's get that 6
Yep.
seed hopefully, and let's make a run because and there's also a stretch in Big Ten tournament history where the champion like kept on losing in the first round. I remember in 2016 going back, Michigan State I believe won the Big Ten tournament, and then they lost to Middle Tennessee State in the 215. And
Oh,
I know
with
they played.
Valentine, I remember. Yes.
Yeah. I can't remember who won that Big Ten tournament. It was either Purdue or Michigan State, but nonetheless, both teams lost in the first round. They both played great in the Big Ten tournament, had a dogfight, two really good teams. And last year's Wisconsin team, just hitting on that one more time, they seemed a little bit gassed, and they only played 3 games. and they seemed gassed. They had a quick turnaround to Thursday in Denver, and they just didn't have that fuel early on in that game, adjusting to altitude and everything. And I think the same thing goes. Like, if Wisconsin wins this tournament, that means they played 4 games in 4 days, and then they could have a turnaround to Thursday. I don't want that. I don't want that. In each game, I'm going to want Wisconsin to win, but trying to think big picture, no. I think ideally Illinois bounces them out of the tournament. I hate to say that, but that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, it's kind of like, pick your poison. Do you want to win a Big Ten championship, but then, at the sacrifice of possibly having not as quite as much legs for the next round, for the next tournament, that ultimately the NCAA tournament is what you get graded on. It's what it is.
It is.
It's just how we are in the world today. So it's what you get graded on. Although I do know that, you have good memories from playing in those Big Ten tournaments and going on those runs, because there's really nothing like tournament play. Tournament play is so fun as a player, as a fan, like both. It just makes it that much more interesting for me. There's no next. Right now, like I'm pretty sure Coach Gard is saying you got 80 minutes guaranteed. That's it. You got 40 minutes in the Big Ten tournament guaranteed, and you got 40 minutes in the NCAA tournament guaranteed, and that's it. So it's a really, really fun time of year just because of that element.
Sure. And I'm also taking a look just at recent Big Ten tournament winners, and there's definitely some that had success, but I remember in 2022, Iowa went on a heater and won that Big Ten tournament. They lost in that first round. Purdue won the Big Ten tournament in 2023 and lost to the 16 seed in the NCAA tournament. Then in 24, Illinois won. Yeah, but I will say Illinois won in 2024 against Wisconsin in the championship game. And I think they made the Elite Eight, but they got smacked by UConn in that Elite Eight. That was one of the most one-sided games you'll ever see. And then last year,
that UConn team was pretty elite, Matt.
No doubt.
UConn team was pretty elite.
No doubt. And then, Michigan won it last year. So, yeah, it's an interesting conversation. You want to win every single game, try your best. But I think one other thing I would like to discuss is, do we want to see Nolan Winter playing in this Big Ten tournament?
I would say yes. In terms of, I don't really need him to go and be a big minute guy, but I want to see him get back in the rotation just a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not this game, whatever happens with Washington and USC, not the first game, but if he comes in the second game and gives us 5 minutes, 8 minutes, just to kind of see how he is, get back into that rhythm of, okay, I'm going to feel, this amount of confidence in my, in his ability to move and his ability to feel comfortable on that ankle. Because right now he's dealing with 2 bad ankles. And it also depends on the severity, right? Like, it's like, if he is really, really hampered, no, obviously not. But if he's, feeling 95%, cool, let's see what he's got. Let's make him move. Let's have him guard guys. Let's, get him used to that movement again, because at this point, everybody's banged up. But if he can get, a few minutes there just to see if it's too severe, chill out, man. I've had the same thing happen to me. I played in the first, it was back in that 2000, I think it was 2010, 2011 tournament with Jordan Taylor against Penn State and them, where I partially tore my ACL in that game. And I know I would have loved to have at least a little bit of time to kind of reacclimate myself playing before the NCAA tournament. But I just had practice. So it worked out. It was what it was. But I would love to see him play again just to give us some more confidence. But if he doesn't, I know he should be ready by tournament time.
Would you like him starting or off the bench?
No, off the bench. Come on in off the bench. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you're moving like. Let's keep this group moving. Let's, Bielskis and Rapp, they went against one of the better front courts in the country. Not the best, but one of the better ones. They're big. They're physical. They rebound. Like, they held their own. They did their thing. So it's great to see them get that kind of confidence too. And I think it's really great for the team to have that kind of confidence, knowing like, yeah, one of our best bigs went down, but the 2 other dudes behind him have grown so much. Like, if this injury happened earlier in the year, I think it's a rough go for us. But man, Bielskis and Rapp have just grown so much in 2 months as players that it's really given me a lot of confidence in this team's ability to make this run.
Sure. I would like to see him come off the bench as well. And yeah, I think this is another opportunity for Rapp and Bielskis to build some more confidence moving forward, heading into the NCAA tournament. They
Yeah.
showed, gosh, what a performance against Purdue. But Mike, last question before we wrap this up is give me a fond memory or your favorite Big Ten tournament that you played in your career.
Biggest tournament, best tournament I got to play in was definitely my senior year. We got to go down to Chicago. We played a couple of really good games against Michigan and then against Indiana, both teams that we had beaten earlier in the year as well. But it was such a fun tournament ride to go down there. Playing in Chicago, that was the first time it had been in Chicago in a while, so the fan bases were great. Were absolutely, like, the environment was 10 out of 10. It was St. Patrick's Day down there, so the river was green. My family came down. It was very cool because my brother came and saw me. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years because he was running around the world being a smart human being, working for his job. So I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, which was really cool. He got to see me play my final games as a Badger, which was really awesome. I look up to him a lot. He's bigger than me and showed me the ropes when I was younger. So that was great. And just I remember those times, like, it was just one of the last really positive memories I had as a Badger too, because we went to the NCAA tournament and kind of laid an egg. So I remember those two games winning, and I think I had probably one of my favorite quotes ever as a Badger. It was after I believe it was after we beat Indiana, and I think we put 55 on them in the second half. And they were like, "Oh, you guys broke away from your standard, slower pace." And they were like, "What do you think other people are saying about that?" Because I know Ryan Evans had a big dunk. I think I had one, and I'm pretty sure Jared had like three. And and I just remember I was like, all I said was, "Them boys athletic," and walked off. So I remember that being one of my favorite quotes I ever gave as an interview.
Yeah, and for people to remember, in that 2013 run, Wisconsin played Michigan in the first round, and that's when Michigan had Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr., Mitch McGary, Nick Stauskas, Karis
Karis
LeVert.
LeVert.
Yeah, and they
Yes.
made the national championship game, almost won it against Louisville. And then after that, Wisconsin played against Indiana, who was a one seed, had Victor Oladipo, Cody Zeller, Christian Watford, Jordan Hulls. Really good teams. And then you guys lost to
Dudes.
Ohio State in the championship game. And yeah, Aaron Kraft led Ohio State team, Deshaun Thomas, very
Look,
good team.
it was LaQuinton Ross that got us. It wasn't
Okay.
Deshaun Thomas. It wasn't Aaron Crabb. It was LaQuinton Ross. He had like he went on like a six or an 8-0 run in the last like 3 minutes, and uh, we just didn't have enough defenders. Like, I had to guard Deshaun Thomas. Ryan Evans had to guard Deshaun Thomas. LaQuinton Ross was kind of the last guy, and all of a sudden he went on a crazy run. That was when Ohio State made a run to the Elite Eight. And LaQuinton Ross was the reason for that. If anybody goes back and looks, he had a crazy tournament run. He had a crazy 2-week run of basketball that almost got him drafted.
Sure. And then last question. Where do you rank, or how do you rank Aaron Kraft as a defender? How good was he?
Oh, Aaron Craft was elite. He was absolutely elite in terms of how he moved his feet, how he changed games. That was the biggest thing is people talk about, oh, he, being good, he changed how you had to run offense. He was one of those guys that was just he had zero quit in him. So even if you had the advantage, he was going to fight as hard as he could to get that advantage back and to take that away from you. And he was so good at moving his feet and not using his hands. So for me, that was one of the things that was great for him. Obviously, his offense was up and down. I still thought he was a very high level point guard in terms of that. He just wasn't quite a scoring point guard like that. He could, and he was very capable. But he was best at distributing, best at getting guys open, setting the table for guys. So have great respect for Aaron Kraft. Had some battles with him. And then, I know he had a pretty good professional career over in Europe.
Yeah, I believe he won G League Defensive Player of the Year in his rookie year, D League at the time, and then
Yeah.
won some Defensive Player of the Year awards overseas. He's a guy who, one of my all-time favorite college hoopers to watch, and just even in the pros when he played in the TBT, he would always make every single game. There'd be at least one defensive play where like, wow, where he made, whether he's diving out of bounds or just something super crafty, no pun intended there. He just always did something. And you're right, he can move his feet so well laterally. Kraft is one of my all-time favorite players. And I know that's a kind of a not a hop on topic, but a lot of people have their opinions about Aaron Kraft, about how good he was or not. And I totally agree with you. I think he was very elite on the defensive end. But I think this is a nice stopping point for today's episode. Mike and I, we're going to be pounding out content moving forward. We're going to stay super consistent leading into the NCAA tournament and going into the NCAA tournament. So hit the subscribe button, show love to both of our channels, and we will see you again soon. Thank you for making it to the end of the video.